Shh. Be quiet. Don't say that.
What did I say?
Chill. Relax. The Impossible Conversation Podcast.
Let's talk.
Welcome to the Impossible Conversation. I'm Coach Sarita.
And I'm your Hope Diller Mira.
And on the Impossible Conversation, we shift generations through
Impossible
conversations. So this episode, do not be conformed to this world. We really just want to do a deep dive into social media. I am such a novice at social media. I mean, to me, for the last however many decades I've been on this earth, I've thought of social media as a taboo thing. Like, I wanted no parts of it. I thought it was a spawn of Satan. So I kind of repelled it, and I just did not get involved. I didn't have a Facebook, a Instagram, a Twitter, a TikTok, a Snapchat. I had nothing.
Run down the list.
I had to run down the list because my daughter, she doesn't really have social media. My oldest daughter does, but my youngest daughter, she only has TikTok.
Okay.
So I really wasn't interested in getting involved in it just because I know it consumes a lot of your time, and I don't have a lot of time to be consumed. But since I know this is something that's really important for millennials as well as Gen Z or iGen or whatever the next generation's title will be, I wanted to kind of understand it a little bit more. So I'm going to defer to you because I am a novice and you are the expert. So we're kind of going to be switching roles today, and I want to hear from you around social media and what's all the good stuff about it, because I don't have anything good.
So I just feel, honestly, like pretty much everything, social media is what you make it.
Okay.
It could be the spawn of Satan, like you said, or it could be a really great thing, especially I think if you are a business owner. I think it's very good to bring in, more customers, to connect with other business owners, and to just get ideas for your business, period. So I think in that light, it can be really good. And also, if it's a personal account, I think it can be good if you're following people that motivate you and are on the same path that you are trying to go. Right. I found myself in the beginning following people that I just judged all day long. And I'm like, what sense does this make? Like, I kind of think of it like, would you hang out with a group of people that you don't really like, that all you have is a bunch of negative thoughts about?
Right.
No.
Right.
You would hang out with people that motivate you, that you have fun with, that make you laugh.
That makes sense.
Right. So I think social media is just what you make it, honestly.
Okay. So it's funny that, you mentioned like hang out with, because that's like, you're not hanging out with these people, but in my day, oh my God, I feel like I'm turning into my mother. But in my day, we didn't have social media. So a lot of the relationships that we had were based off of, where you met these individuals, and then you built a relationship with them, and then you decided that you wanted to continue a friendship with them or not.
Right.
And in this day, I feel like with social media, you have so many friends that you hang out with, or followers, or whatever you call them, that it could really lead you down some different rabbit holes.
Absolutely.
So the positive thing that you were saying is, once you realize that some of the friends that you were following, and they probably were friends that you actually didn't know, they weren't actually exhibiting the behaviors of things you wanted to follow. So I guess the positive in that is if it's something like a healthy diet journey, or if it's something like, I know a lot of people are following like hair journeys of what to do with your hair. When you want to do those things, then you have this whole pool of individuals that you can seek for guidance, understanding, and looking for next steps.
Yeah.
Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then as it relates to business, I've been in business for almost 2 decades. And now everyone is utilizing social media for business, which is a really powerful tool because number one, it allows your brand to be seen by millions of individuals based off of the number of followers that you have, or you can even promote and pay to get your business launched onto certain types of individuals' platforms. So the way that it can target market individuals is very exciting for me as a business owner. But I also can see some of the downside of social media as far as, it relating to business, particularly with some of the new users or the new business owners, so to speak. So I like the fact that there's an option to have 2 different accounts. Yep. So you can have a business account and a personal account. And I kind of run my personal account more like a business account just because of who I am. Yeah. But I've seen there be some blurred lines in doing that.
Yeah, I do not like at all, and I'm sorry it's judgmental or anything like that, but it's very confusing, very contradictory when you have content, where you're wearing salacious clothing, where you're performing sexual dances, or, talking about something that's not necessarily your customer's business on your business page. I'm like, can we separate these 2 accounts? Yeah. Like, it's really confusing me because, your audience, your customers, your viewers, your followers, whatever, see you in a certain light. When it's a business page, they have a certain, standard that they hold you to, a certain respect as a business owner. It's a heavy title. And when you have content up like that, it just contradicts your whole situation when it's a business page. So the lines definitely are blurred. Yeah. And I understand, some people may feel like, well, this is me. I'm just showing all sides of myself. And I applaud that. I encourage that. But I just think it would do more of a service for your business and for you to separate the 2.
Right.
And there's an option on social media as well to do close friends. So I think if you make a close friends list where you only post that certain type of content that doesn't necessarily go along with your business page, that would be a good idea as well.
That was an option.
But some people just don't even care.
Right.
And those people, I'm like, this is bad business. This is bad business.
And I mean, that, of course, is very scary for me as far as a business owner because, I'm conducting my business and I'm expecting that you're conducting your business in the same way. So there's been a lot of disconnect with me and different individuals as far as their businesses are concerned because now I see you in this light versus that light. But another thing that's very challenging for me, and this is from a parental perspective, is how social media comes into your household and it becomes an additional family member or friend or enemy.
Elaborate.
So I was thinking about this as far as my children are concerned and growing up and us not having social media. When we went home, our home was like our safe space. That was our safe haven. You went home, you were encouraged, people loved you, they supported you. And, we all dealt with some form of bullying in some, sense as we grew up. Yeah. However, now the bully is in your home with you all day. So I have to be ever so cautious around what sites my children are on because it's not even necessarily just their friends. There's like catfishing going on where my kids are thinking they're gaming with other children and it could be pedophiles. So like that is another form of social media that really stresses me out as a mother because my children are ever so social media savvy. They're able to, navigate and I've heard about these things called personas where people have, trust me, I try to do research on it because I want to be in the know, but it's a fake persona. So they'll have a social media page that's their actual page, and then they'll have a
like a Finsta.
Yes.
A Finstagram.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess for Instagram it's called a Finstagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, a persona is just a whole different person that they become when they're on these social media platforms. So then you think, you may be following your child, but then they may have a whole nother account that you're not aware of. So you're not able to protect them from the predators that are in the world because I don't know if they, what their goal is by having this secondary page, if they're, want to use profanity or something along those lines, or they're posing in clothing that you wouldn't approve of. But that's something that's very scary to me. And I mean, the fact that suicide rates have gone up tremendously from my generation to your generation to now their generation. I never even knew anything about suicide when I was growing up. It was like nothing anyone ever discussed. I definitely didn't know anybody who had done it. But now, my nephew has actually had a friend who committed suicide. And I'm like, oh my God, like I can't even imagine. So I think the barrage of negativity that's just flooded through this little small tiny device that's supposed to be something that's powerful and positive as with anything, it's a two-edged sword.
Yeah, for parents, I definitely urge you guys all to watch the content that your kids are viewing, because as we know, or you know, I'm a small bit of a conspiracy theorist, there are multiple agendas trying to be passed.
Yes.
Right under our noses.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they're watching what the kids are watching, they're seeing, you know, the demographic of the content, so then they say, okay, this is a younger person, let me put this ad up here, you know. The big, huge thing right now is this Cuties movie on Netflix. I don't know if you've heard of it or seen it or anything like that, but it's 11-year-olds, and I have to speak on both sides. Now, I'm sure the writer, from after I watched the movie, I got that the theme is very important. The theme is about the woman who's growing up in Singalese. You know, she was just trying to give an illustration of what it's like to be a younger woman growing up in another country where, you know, your religion is, you know, very important to your family, as well as becoming a woman. But this young girl is 11 years old. So, you know, she's trying to navigate, you know, separating herself from the harsh lines of her religion and her family and her upbringing. Right. And then she has younger girls who are, you know, a lot more independent, a lot more, I say, sexually suggestive or hypersexual for their age. And I think the theme is so important because we do have videos like WAP, and we have content like that, and our kids are watching it and they're aspiring to do the same thing. So I definitely urge all parents to just watch the content that they're watching. Now, on the other hand of that same movie, Cuties, the ad that they decided to post to advertise the movie had nothing to do with the theme or the story. And that's the part that's confusing for me and a little nauseating. You know, the poster has the young girls in compromising positions that you just wouldn't see, you know, on young girls. And I think if a young girl, which I know your young daughter, if she was to see that, she would say, wow, I like their cheer outfits. I like, you know, I like this. It's attractive to a young girl. But then when you watch the movie, the theme is greater. But for an underdeveloped mind, is she really getting that theme? Or is she still aspiring to be this hypersexual young woman? So I urge parents to do that. And number 2, with the catfishing, that's another agenda as well. So I just urge the parents to really watch their content. I'm not going to go too far in my conspiracy theories, but just watch your children, parents.
And I mean, it holds true in everything that we should really be watching, you know, what we're watching. Because I think about social media as far as relationships are concerned, being husband, wife, you know, significant other, and how there can be a lot of manipulation in that as well. Because on social media, and, you know, I follow a lot of business pages and, you know, different inspirational messages and people that have more of a spiritual bent to it. But there's a lot of vulgarity. There is a lot of nudity on social media. So, you know, I was having a conversation with my girlfriend, and she was saying, like, she was scrolling through her husband's phone and she saw, you know, some of the stuff that he was actually following, and she wasn't very happy about it. And I mean, I'm like, okay, I understand that. So then we start to get to the question of, well, what do you do with that? You know, do now you have a conversation with your spouse to say, wait a minute, I don't like who you're following? But does that become a privacy issue and a trust issue? And then it became a thing around, okay, well, do you have your partner's passwords to his accounts? So, I mean, I think there's like so much that we could take from social media in a positive way.
And a lot that we must consider.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And might I say, you know, for me, I can really go on a tizzy in my mind and start making up scenarios that aren't even really there in my relationship. You know, that's just where my mind goes. So, you know, what me and my boyfriend do is we don't even follow each other. I don't know what you see.
Interesting.
You don't know what I see. We don't follow each other. I don't know what you're doing.
Interesting.
You know, and not so turn a blind eye to where I'm just ignorant as bliss. But I just rather protect my peace. I know how far my mind will take me. You'll see this picture of this girl, and then you'll see a like on it, and then you're like, oh my God, are they talking? Or oh my God, do he like her?
Now,
do
question.
he know her from somewhere else?
Do you guys post each other on your social media?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I just was wondering, like, you know,
your position must be known. Your position must be known. Absolutely. We post each other not often because, you know, he has his thing that he's trying to do with rap and music and being an artist, a producer, and, you know, obviously I have the podcast and other things that I'm doing as well. So we do try to keep it some fine lines between our personal life, but definitely on anniversaries, on birthdays, and sometimes I even do appreciation posts about my boyfriend. So, you know, it's not anything I'm trying to hide. We're not trying to hide the relationship, but I just know personally for me it can get to be too much because you see one thing and your mind takes you all the way to another. So I'm like, I don't even really care. You know, he's not acting different towards me. He doesn't treat me any different. He gives me the same amount of love as he always did. Why am I really allowing myself to go down this rabbit hole? It's not necessary.
Yeah. But that's a very unique perspective. I've never thought about that, like not following each other. I just assumed that, you know, people that were in a relationship would follow the individual that they're in a relationship with. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a good space to talk about our sponsor. Okay. Pristine Clean. Pristine Clean, they don't cut corners, they clean corners. Give them a call or hit them up on Instagram at Pristine Clean, clean with a K. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. That was a really good first segment of the episode because, you know, number one, you know how important me sheltering my children are, and I swear my 11-year-old daughter is like a unicorn. Yeah. So I don't want her to leave that little bubble. You know, I feel like the NBA where like they're in a bubble, like she's like mentally in a bubble. So if she was to see anything like that, oh my God, I would just be mortified at, you know, the thoughts that would be going through her mind. So I appreciate you sharing things like that. And anybody else who has any information like that, please, please, please comment, put it in the comment section. Coach Sarita, do not allow your child to look at this. I would much appreciate it because it does truly take a village to raise a child. So I appreciate my village. I appreciate all of you guys for your support. But I actually wanted to talk about...
Can I just add one more thing?
Sure.
I want our viewers to understand that the theme of the movie is bigger than the advertisement. My problem with the movie is not the theme because it's very excellent. I had an older sister growing up, so, you know, watching her, it did make me grow up faster. And then you have these children who have all of these artists who are doing this, and it's making them grow up faster. So that's really the theme of the movie. Staying in a child's place. That's the theme. It's not the movie. The movie is excellent, but, you know, the angles at which the directors chose to shoot and the way that America, because it is a movie from by a French director, and that's where it first aired. I don't think that was her goal.
It's about being cautious. It's just about being cautious and censoring what we watch. And, you know, the Bible says, watch what goes through your ear gates and your eye gates. So we have to be ever so mindful of those different things. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about how social media is impacting communication. We were at dinner the other night, and my husband and I, and we're watching this other couple, was the two of them. They were on their phones the entire time. Do not get me wrong. I will use any time to conduct business as well. So I'm on my phone occasionally too. However, at dinner with my husband, I would like to spend some time with my husband. But they're literally on their phone, not saying anything to each other at all. How weird is that?
It's very, very weird. And it's something that I try to be conscious of because, you know, you get alerts, you get the notifications, and they're like, need immediate attention, so you think because it is a sound or a bright light, and you're like, let me go to it now. But I think that's something that I just posted on my social media, being present. Like, that's so important, just being present, because you miss out on so much. And life goes by so quickly. I know that's something for me to say, and I'm so young, but you know, life goes by so quickly, and then before you know it, it's just a memory that you miss.
Right.
But you missed it because you were on your phone. So I mean, it's ironic.
It's so ridiculous. Like, I was sitting there and I actually watched them, and, you know, I'm being like really petty, but I'm like, look, they're not even, like, they're not making eye contact. They're not saying anything to each other. How could you possibly be having a whole entire dinner with someone and you two are in two totally different places? You're just eating a meal at the same table, ultimately. So I feel like the communication is being broken down by social media because it makes regular conversation like boring.
Yeah.
Like that one person you're with is boring in comparison to a whole timeline of fun.
And I find for me, the way that social media has kind of affected my communication, because I went to Eastern University, and something that they really prided us on doing was speaking and articulation and presenting. And I was really, really good at it when I was in school. And it seems that now my articulation is not as well. You know, I have more breaks in my thought. I'm like a little bit more confused or cloudy. I'm like, wait, what was I about to just say? Or I'm umming or looking around. And it's like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's social media, but I'm thinking with everything being like a sentence and just reading a sentence or just watching a 15-second video of TikTok and it's, you know, skipping from one thing to another. I hope that's not what's making me
think it is.
I know.
I mean, it's the same thing that happened with smartphones. So, you know, in my generation, I probably knew 25 phone numbers by heart. You know, I can rattle them off. My mom, my grandma, my sister, my neighbor, blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, I think I know 3. Mine, my husband's, and my daughter's.
Your emergency contacts.
Yeah, like, that's it. Like ice. If it's not ice, I don't even know whose number I could possibly call. So, I mean, social media is doing a lot of damage to our brains, which is, you know, really something that we should be concerned about. Like, we really should be watching and monitoring our usage of social media, just because the long-term effects of it can really be detrimental to our health.
Absolutely. I've written many papers about it, so yes, I know.
Sure.
That is true. It's just true. I mean, I can't remember the statistics off the dome, but you know what you're saying is absolutely true. You know, that's what I started as my thesis point, as my question, my research topic, and it came to be absolutely true that social media is affecting our memory, our communication, our thoughts long term. So yeah.
Like I said, I'm very new to social media, and I'm not, you know, actually even all that excited to be on it. But I think another thing that's really important, which I've started to do, because, you know, what starts to happen is now you're getting these barrages of notifications and messages and likes and hearts and loves and comments and fire and hands up and, you know, all these different emojis. But now I have set it that at 10 o'clock, I put my phone on airplane mode. Because I don't want any more stimuli. Like, before I go to bed, like, I need to wind my mind down, settle down, and get clear and get zen, so that I don't have all that sensory overload. And then, you know, I'm not questioning myself as to if people are still talking about me, because that's really what it is. They're talking about you, or they're liking you. So I think as long as you put some borders and some boundaries around your use of social media,
you have to.
It could potentially be an okay thing.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about you earlier saying about the suicide. That's another thing that I've researched. Social media has increased the rates of depression, suicide, and anxiety, and I always think it's so ironic that the acronym is called for Instagram is IG, and that's exactly what you get from Instagram, instant gratification. And you know, it's making girls and guys lose their mind. You know, you feel like you have to keep up with this constantly moving target, impossible goal. And another thing, the catfish. This is where I was going with the catfish. It's so interesting. This guy, you know, that, you know, me and my boyfriend know, he's something on Instagram, and he has this nickname, and he's got this and he's got that, and he, you know, all this stuff. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give it away, but he has all the glitz and glam that make himself look and appear very real and very, you know, powerful. And then, you know, we seen him in person, and I said his Instagram handle, you know, excited because I'm like, oh, this is who he is, like, and he's like, it was almost like a child, like very insecure, very unsure. And I was like, that's so interesting that people can really go on Instagram, present and show up as a whole nother person. And then in real life, that same confidence, that same fire that you feel from the likes isn't there. That broke my heart. Because I was so excited, like, hey, what's up? And then it was just like, hey. And I'm like, oh, man.
So he didn't talk to you at all?
No, he talked to us, but it just was not with that energy you would expect from Instagram. It was nothing like that.
Wow.
It was nothing. If anything, I feel like we were giving it to him.
Wow.
So
and I wonder if he's just tapped out from giving so much, or is it just...
You can burn out from social media.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's that, or is it just that's not even who he is. He just can play that part for a certain amount of time. Take it back to the Bible, and the Bible always tells us to travel the narrow path because the wide path is just filled with destruction. So I think if you niche down yourself on social media to who you actually are and how you want to show up in the world, which is what we talk about all the time on the Impossible Conversations, then social media can be a doable thing. I mean, will I ever grow to love it? Probably not, but I think it'll actually be a doable thing. So this has been another episode of the Impossible Conversation with Coach Sarita
and Mira.
And I just want to say thank you to our sponsor, Pristine Clean. In addition to our donors, we've had several donors for this episode, and we're looking for more donations. So if you're interested in donating to the Impossible Conversation podcast, just click on a link. And we want to say thank you to our biggest donor of the week, which was Triune Health Services. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next week. Stay tuned.
Bye.
Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Coach Sarita.
And me on Instagram at AmiraHester_. And check us both out on Instagram and YouTube at The Impossible Conversation. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys there.